prima donnas. Get on set. Come on. I can't work with you people.
Look at you. Like a pour of our little whiskey.
And go.
Oh,
Give me a little bit more.
That is magic.
Is that all we
That
get?
is magic.
Just a little
Very
bit.
own Robert Nathan.
I feel very. Somebody's talking about Hawaii earlier. This is very Hawaii-esque, right? The guy that was up there, he was a.
Does it not get any better?
It keeps going. The awesomeness keeps going.
It doesn't get any better.
Have we already started? I don't know. Doesn't even matter. We're gonna do some great stuff. Like the red? I know.
It's a good color.
Yeah, this is
Look at these buttons. These are like amazing.
Please don't undress.
I know.
I just pointed. I didn't.
This is the outtakes videos, right? So this is actually a threaded button stub shirt. They went out of business.
Stubbs. I remember that.
Remember that? So I commissioned these shirts. We actually have the ribbon thread that actually has the stuff. Anyway. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Ultimate Texas Podcast. Right, this is we changed the name a little bit. We are the Rowdy Loafers, but this is the Ultimate Texas Podcast. I got my good buddy here, Coach. Got the famous Fireball Bill, and I got the Regalados mount up. We got the Regalados.
That's it.
Todd Regalado.
That's right.
We're talking about some oil, some good Texas stuff. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Ultimate Texas Podcast. We're here talking about Texas history. We're going to talk about the most interesting person that is here right now, which is Todd Regalado. We're going to be talking about some other interesting stuff. Who knows where this is going to go?
Rabbit trails.
Rabbit trails. So, dude, thank you so much for coming and hanging out.
I'm coming to order boots.
It's coming hard, yeah.
Y'all call me out of the bullpen, and you think you're going to get Wagner coming out, and you're getting Chico Escuela. So I don't know what's happening here.
Which is Squirrel Haggard's best friend.
Damn right he is.
You have to come into the boot shop to see Squirrel Haggard and Chippy Dickens.
Little Chippy Dickens.
Little Chippy Dickens. He's back there.
As a ball, been very good to me.
That's it. That's
Chico
it.
Escuela, legendary.
That's it.
So we got the oil field. So we've been talking about a lot of stuff this series. We were talking about we had Matt Bryson here from Federal Grill talking about some great restaurant stuff. We've been talking about Texas history. Man,
yes.
tell me about where do you come from? What's going on with you?
Well, where do I start? I mean,
Yeah.
I'll tell you this. I know the guy was born and raised in California. This is the perfect example of not from Texas, but got here as soon as he could.
that's true. My grandmother was from Greenville, Texas.
Okay.
So
right.
the Texans in the family history. So I've
But the
been
cool
here.
thing is, just not to interrupt you there, but a lot of these people that came to Texas, they fought. Even Wyatt Earp, right? They started continued to go west. They went to California. So not to disparage the family or whatever, but everybody wanted to go west, right?
And Greenville is the heart of Texas.
Deep in the heart of Texas. That's
100%.
it. That's it. It's kind of interesting because my grandmother was a Texan. My great grandfather was a Okie. So they all meshed up. They ended up in Oklahoma for a little bit. And I know we're talking about Texas, but it's kind of a good story here.
It's all good.
The washing machine, when it was invented, there was the Maytag and the Meadows. The governor of Oklahoma got the Maytag, and my great-grandfather got the Meadows. So
Meadows was a washing.
was another brand. There was only two in the world at that time.
Oh wow, that's
So kind of crazy, it's one of those deals where you hear the history. Well, if I only would have done this, or if my family would have been here, it's kind of like the story of my life. It's like, I missed the lotto by just one number. My great-grandparents owned a bunch of acreage up in Oklahoma, and the wild Marasutic well was there.
What was that?
And
Wild Marasutic well.
it was one of the very first places where oil was discovered in Oklahoma.
Okay.
So Granny told Haw, look, it's too far for the kids to walk to school. It was right outside Oklahoma City. So they said, we're moving. No more walking to school, blah, blah. I'll make a long story short.
Yeah.
They discovered oil on their property.
Oh, wow.
So missed it by that much. But you know how it is. But
Yeah.
it's kind of funny because it all comes full circle because that's what I ended up doing for a long time.
So you were born in California, though, after all that, then came back to Texas. How did your story kind of unfold there?
Well, when I got out of school, it was during the Cold War. I went to San Diego State University, and we had
The Cold War.
the Cold War. This is how old I am. Yes.
Oh my God.
So there was no jobs out there. So I was doing, remember Career Week, when you come through a Career Week, and I was interviewing with Boeing, and they were going to pay me $27,000 a year, and then you go to Martin Marietta, we're going to give you $30,000 a year in a company car, and you kind of go Raytheon, we're going to give you $31,000 in whatever you
100
want.
years ago, that was a lot of money.
That's a lot. Damn right it was. So, no job. So, one of my fraternity brothers was pushing tools on a rig up in Weatherford, Oklahoma, and he says, just come up here and work on a rig for a while, and then you can go back to California, and maybe there'll be some job openings. Well, first year in the oil field, I made $51,000 and drank beer every day, thought I died and gone to heaven.
Right,
That's a hell of a deal.
So, yeah, it's a lot of money back then.
Hell of a deal.
So I just kind of followed the rigs from Oklahoma down to Texas. The boom was going down. You might be a little young for that, but the boom was going down at that time. And next thing you know, I was interviewing with a company called Diamond M, which is now Diamond Offshore.
But when you were doing those early days, I mean, were you roughnecking it?
Oh yeah,
on the well.
Oh yeah, I started working worms corner.
Dangerous. Wow. I mean, was it?
I didn't know any difference.
Yeah.
It was a job. It was a job. So started worms corner, worked all the way up to a tool pusher. You know how that goes. And then next thing you know, I'm drilling a relief well in the Cook Inlet of Alaska. And
your travel is fantastic. You were telling me about just traveling all over the world and spending a lot of time in Asia and different places. I mean, or going to the airport. Which terminal am I going to? To go to the next.
What was the pivotal point for you? From what you were doing to what you just described to where you are today? Where did it all kind of?
Well, going from the drilling contractor side to a service company or to an operator, it all happened in Alaska. I was drilling a relief well for a blowout that happened up there, and one of the well control companies noticed me, and they said, "We like the way you work. Send us your resume." Yeah, blah blah blah. So went ahead, sent the resume in. Next thing you know, my dad's skiing up in Reno, and he goes, "Hey, some guy's on the phone for you, looking for you, Neil Adams." So I get on the phone, and he goes, "Hey, I hear you're at your dad's house." I go, "Yes." He goes, "Well, I've got a geothermal blowout over here in Fallon. You're pretty close. Come help me." And I go, "Well, I got to go to the rig, and you work 28 and 28." And we did. Yeah. I just said, "Well, I got to go to work." He goes, "No, I already talked to your boss." He says, "You're coming to work for me."
Wow. So just knowing Todd, like I know him, I know that, like, every step of the way has been highly thought of. I want to throw a Texas history name out at you that maybe a lot of people don't know, but have probably heard. And I want you to talk a little bit about this man, a man by the name of Red Adair. You've probably heard of Mr. Red Adair.
Very famous Texan, yes.
Very famous. He's a legendary oil field firefighter. Red Adair, I want to talk to us a little bit about how Red Adair took you personally, Todd. He picked you, took you under his wing, and started teaching you a little bit about I don't even want to venture to talk about the intricacies because, some of the things you've already said have just been like, whoa, what is that? What is that? What is that?
Well, the
legendary
company, the Red Adair company was, of course, Paul Neil Adair. I was his competition.
Wow, really?
So when Mr. Adair sold the Red Adair company to Bill Dory at Global Industries, Mr. Adair came over to Cud Well Control. Him and Bobby Joe Cud, those are two pioneers in the well control industry. So that's when I got to work around Mr. Adair. He's a Texas legend. He's an icon. All I can say is if you've had the opportunity to meet Mr. Adair, you've met American royalty. He's a super guy. He's a
nice guy, but just like hardcore, like just made stuff happen.
Well, he worked. He started out with Myron Kinley. He was the pioneer of oil well firefighting. Mm-hmm. And Mr. Adair, when he got out of the military, was working for Otis, which was a snubbing company. And Mr. Adair went and, make a long story short, he went and did a job by himself. Mr. Kinley, they didn't have to call him Mr. Kinley. So next thing you know, Mr. Kinley reached out to Halliburton, which is Otis was a Halliburton company, and said, "Hey, I want to be able to use that guy." And so next thing you know, Red's going all over the place with Mr. Kinley, and then started the Red Adair company in 1950.
Was the technology way different, or was it just the way that you actually executed that job?
Oil well firefighting, the tools and the equipment are pretty much the same. The only thing that has really changed over decade during Kuwait, Halliburton invented the abrasive cutter. That was the big stepping stone, but everything else in the oil and gas industry, especially for well control, is pretty much the same. You've got dry pine pumps now, you've got lay flat hose, things of that nature. Foam technology, hydrochem technology is a little bit different, but other than that, everything's pretty much still the same.
So it's the people, right? So you have to actually educate the people on what to do and make sure
it's the people. You know, the thing about oil well firefighting is there is no silver medal for second place.
Right.
You do the wrong thing, adios. You're done. So
I work in Kazakhstan, or Conradistan is what they call it. Somebody, I think Michelle Haas was coining it's Kazakhstan. So, but back in the day, the Russians blew up a bunch of these wells, right?
You. We're talking about you.
I know. Sorry. Blew up a bunch of these wells, and so these wells burned, I think, almost a year. They actually created a new element that was called dragon glass because it was so hot that it melted the sand and all that.
Yep.
And created this interesting stuff that is actually very valuable today. But they brought in the Texans to actually put those wells and stuff out there in Kazakhstan. So, I growing up looking at the Iraq War and these, the fires burning and all that, they're calling in the experts. I mean, is this y'all's people? Like they're looking for the experts coming in to take care of stuff? I mean, that's your world.
That used to be my world. Yes, I did that for many, many years, and it's kind of funny when you bring up the Russians. One of the
Russians.
Yeah, one of Mr. Adair's right hand man was a man by the name of Raymond Henry. He was we called him the Gentle Giant. Probably seen more big oil well fires than anybody, even Mr. Adair. But Raymond was called in to do a job one time in Russia where he had to take his Red Adair coveralls off. Had no patches, nothing. Raymond did all the work and his team, and then the Russians came in and said, "You guys leave the country," and then they closed the handle on the accumulator.
Wow.
So it's kind of the Russians have their own way of doing things. I know when I was at Wild Well Control, they would come over for OTC all the time, and they would send a whole delegation, and we'd show them the shop and do all that kind of stuff. And first question out of their mouth was, "Well, how many people do you kill on a job?" And they go,
That's the first one.
We go, "Well, none. Why?" "Oh no, this cannot be right." And I go, "No, we don't kill anybody. That's not what we do." So, but different countries have their own people that try to do those things. But at the end of the day, if it's a big bad one, it's the Texans come to fix it.
Texans come and fix it.
Awesome.
I like it, man.
Dude, so many great stories from this guy. So I personally have known Todd for 20 years or so. I mean,
It's a rodeo connection. What's your connection?
Well, there is a rodeo connection here. Absolutely. Todd's on my rodeo committee. Me and Todd are on the fire trucks, and Todd is kind of like El Jefe on the fire trucks. He's like chief man on the fire trucks, and we all kind of go to Todd as our fatherly figure. And Todd's the guy. So we hear a lot of the stories. I mean,
But he's my boss. He's my rodeo boss. And you know the John Wick series. Winston at the
it's not
Continental.
about it's not about me, Todd. It's not about Coach.
They go. It's kind of like how was Coach?
You stop, Fireball.
Right. How was Coach the boss of the fire trucks? As Winston would say, because I deemed it so.
Todd was very instrumental in my ascension. And I give him all the credit. Todd is one of the most wonderful human beings that I've been around. In
the boot shop, just hanging out with us.
Past year,
very good friend of the boot shop. Todd's very active in the rodeo. He's a director of the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo. He buys in championship lots, which hopefully we're going to be.
We're working on that.
Again.
Yes.
We're working on that. With his ranch is the R3 Ranch. A lot of people don't realize that Todd is actually a rancher. Todd raises cattle, spends a lot of his time out in. I'll let you talk a little bit.
Yeah, I want to hear about the ranching aspect. We talk about the oil.
Aspect.
Is it yours like super section where it's like oil and cattle and all that?
Todd has parlayed his oil career, into the next phase of his life.
Right.
And I'm going to let Todd talk a little bit.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. You got to have a hobby. Everybody's got to have a hobby, whether you're a golfer, you play tennis, whatever you do, race cars.
Make boots.
That's exactly right.
Drink beer.
Well, it's as you well know, it's all about the tax write-off. So if you're going to have property, you got to have cows, and you have to
taxes
have agriculture or something. So I got into the cattle business by way of a buddy that worked at a really, really big ranch. And so they had all the horsepower bulls, $100,000 bulls. And so I just kind of snuck in there and on the backside.
Trying to figure out what to do with all these
Yeah,
cattle.
so just let me buy these. I went to Camp Cooley and bought a bunch of good cattle up there.
What is this? What is Camp?
Camp Cooley used to be one of the premier ranches in the state of Texas for Brangus cattle. They had the huge sale, so I went up there and bought.
Where's that? You said up there. Where's that?
It's up outside of Hearn, Texas.
Oh, right on. Okay.
Little bit north.
Yeah.
So went up there and bought some mamas and some babies, and then took them over to a ranch called John Traveros owns a ranch called Third Day Ranch, and he had the big horsepower bulls. So went over there and said, "Can my girls come over for vacation for just a little bit?" And so went over there, got all my girls bred by the big boy. His real name was 44L John Wayne. Right. So he was the big boy. So got my girls a good daddy, and had great offspring. To this day, I still have a bunch of them up there. So it's a lot of fun.
I think when I talk to Todd about what's going on up at the ranch, he refers to his livestock as his pets. I mean,
Well, that's what
him and his wife Lori are very. I mean, they love their animals. They love what they do. It's just really refreshing.
I'm not a rancher, but I as you're kind of saying that as well, I'm thinking about like you're creating this. I created this fantastic cow or whatever, and then you're going to eat it, right? So you've tried it. It's like, actually, this one tastes good.
Well, there's rules at the ranch.
Okay.
There's rules at the ranch. Mama says she will not eat anything she raises.
Okay.
So
you really do have pets.
They're trained pretty well.
But it's like I would almost like, does this one taste better than this one? Let's breed this one.
If you name it, you don't eat it.
Yeah, we won't. This is live, so we won't go into those discussions.
Lori, this is when you turn off the podcast.
That's it.
Good night.
But yeah, it's.
And I get fascinated by these different breeds. So Angus,
Brangus.
And then we had the guys up here with RC Ranch doing the Wagyu beef as well. Mm-hmm. So it's like, where's this? It's fascinating about the whole world about
you have
cattle.
How do I put it in oil field terms? It's kind of about solar and electric. We produce oil and gas. That's what me and you do for a living. That's what we do. And then you throw the solar or electric card in there. Yeah. It's like the great Bob Tallman, voice of the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo, says, "Todd, we raise cattle. We don't raise fat." So it's night and day difference. There's some top quality chefs around the world that love Wagyu beef because that's what they're looking in their flavor. And then, we're Texans. We like our beef.
We just eat beef.
We eat beef. So
huge industry. Give
me the beef.
It's what's for dinner.
Yeah.
It's what's for dinner.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Cool story. Todd told me this story a while back, and we never, ever like to drop names at the boot shop. Ever.
Never happened
But Todd has an interesting story about a certain UFC fighter that
Lord.
you. So Todd, as he's progressed through his career, has been able to bring in pretty awesome employees, and this one employee in particular, and I'm not going to give it away, I'm going to give you the honor, but I want you to tell us a little bit about the Black Beast.
Oh my gosh. I did not know anything.
No,
I didn't even know what I didn't
I'm the
even
Tex-Mex,
know
whatever.
I didn't even know what USC was or MMA. I didn't have any of that. Well, one of my good friends, David Norton, we were business partners in one of the businesses we built and sold a few years back. He goes, "Hey, come up here to Denver with me. Get on the jet and let's go. And we're gonna buy it. We're gonna get a table there, and we're gonna do this sponsorship for some MMA stuff." I go, "What is MMA?" He goes, "No, these fighter guys. They get in that little octagon thing or hexagon, whatever they call it, and they
Beat the hell out of each other."
And I said, "Okay, load me up, put me in, coach."
Let's go.
So we go up there, and we land up there in Denver, and the car picks us up, and we go do our deal, and we get checked in. So I made some reservations at Capitol Grill to meet the fighter because I didn't know who we were sponsoring.
Should have gone
I
to
didn't know any of
Federal
that stuff. So we get up there, and the guy's name was Jeremiah Constant, and he had just gotten beat by Cain Velasquez, who was the.
Oh, no.
I didn't even know who that was. He was the champion at one time. So we made him. We went out there and took him to dinner, and I got to meet his oil field hand. You know, he worked on the rigs and did all that kind of stuff, and he learned a little bit about him. And had his he had his Rottweiler and all that stuff. I thought, okay, this is great. Look forward to seeing you. So next day we go to a place called the Lucky Strike in Denver. It's a huge bowling alley that has like 3 lanes, and the rest of it's a bar. It's huge. It's a great place. If you ever go to Denver, you got to go to the Lucky Strike. Anyway,
Funny, I'm at the bowling alley. I mean, a giant bar.
That's it. That's exactly right. So we're there at the weigh-in. So David and I are sitting there drinking a cold beer, and so Jeremiah comes out, and he's jumping around like they do. And I go, what's all this about? He goes, this is the weigh-in. Dave's going, Todd, this is the weigh-in. This is important stuff right there. So Jeremiah's there jumping around, going crazy, and then he goes out, and then Derek comes in, and he comes out behind the curtain.
Derek.
Mountain of a man. And David grabs me and goes, I got a bad feeling about this. I got a bad feeling about this. Well, anyway, Derek had to sub at the last minute because the guy that Jeremiah...
Derek
Lewis.
Derek Lewis,
was supposed to... The guy that he was supposed to fight got hurt, so they flew Derek in from Houston, and so Derek had to come in there. And so we get to... Make a long story short, we get to the fight, the main event. So we get there, and we're right there. The cage is right in front of us. We're in the front row right there, and we're waiting for the waitress to come around, and the bar is right there, and I go, I'll be right back. So I went over to the bar, and I grabbed one of the trays from the waitress, and I'm loading up, and the fight starts, and I'm getting my beers, and by the time I get back to the table, Derek had already knocked him out. This hadn't even been a minute.
Yeah.
Oh my
and I walk down, and David goes, well, there you go. I go, what? He goes, you missed it. I go, I missed what? He goes, it's over. I go, what do you mean it's over? He goes, the fight is over. Derek knocked him out. I go, it hadn't even started. He goes, go back to the bar. I'm just going. And sure enough, he'd knocked him out. So, okay, I missed the whole damn fight. Flew all the way up here and missed the thing. So we're at the post party at the Lucky Strike.
Yeah.
So I use the restroom. The bowling alley. It's great. You would love it, Coach. You'd love it. So I'm walking down. There's a roped off area for the fighters. And I'm walking down, and there was Derek and not Bob. What was his name? I can't remember what his coach's name was. But anyway, I'm walking by, and the red velvet ropes are there, and I go, hey, I'm from Houston, and you guys are from Houston. Congratulations. He goes, oh, you're from Houston. He goes, you want to meet Derek? I said, well, yeah, come on in. So walked in and met Derek, and so I'm sitting down there. Tony was his name, was his manager, and he goes, yeah. He goes, it was a no contest today. I go, I don't even know what that means. He goes, oh, that means he doesn't get paid the money. I go, well, he fought. Why doesn't he get paid the money? Oh, they said he hit him in the back of the head, blah, blah, blah. And I go, well, why? I don't understand all that stuff. He goes, yeah, right now he's needing a job, and, he needed this money for his family. And I went, here's my card. Have him call my secretary, go take a physical, and
Yeah, that's awesome.
we'll give him a job. So next morning I get a call from my secretary, and she goes, there's a really big black man here looking for you. And I go, oh, is that Derek? He goes, yeah. And I go, send him down and get him a physical. So they went down. So
You don't call him the Black Beast.
oh yeah,
It's kind of radical.
Yeah, Color Radicals here.
Same thing.
Black Beast is here. Like,
he is one of the. He's a gentle giant. He's one of the nicest individuals you'll ever come across.
Yeah.
You would never know it.
tell
If
you
you
what-
watch his podcast, he's a different person in the ring when he's doing interviews
Yeah.
than he is.
I think
awesome.
I
I love
think
that.
if you haven't seen, if you don't know who Derek Lewis is, the Black Beast.
That's great.
Google him on YouTube. I mean, not only is he's a
funny.
hell of a fighter, but he's funny. His post game stuff. I mean, like, finish the statement, Todd. You
can find it on
Derek,
YouTube.
Joe Rogan. Derek, why'd you take your shorts off?
my balls was hot.
There it is.
Balls aside.
Greatest guy, it's he's a Houston icon here, and I'll see if I can get him down here to.
Oh, that'd be so cool.
That would be
I'll
fun.
check with the boss. His wife April
love
is
it.
just she's the
At
queen.
the very least, how cool would it be if we could design him some boots? Like,
Oh, he'd love
get him
it.
in here, get him some boots. Get him
Yeah.
get him fitted for. Some
Well,
That's great.
Miss April, his wife is she's the style queen, so that's who you have to deal with right
She
there
can-
on that deal.
She can design the boots.
Yeah, but
Your work though, the well fighting and these kinds of great things, right? Is that still a problem? Is there technology out there that's preventing the future of this particular profession?
firefighting, it's different because, as you know, we live in the unconventional world now, which means horizontal drilling. So we're drilling in mature oil fields now that don't have a lot of pressure. We're not drilling the exploration. You super majors like your company, you got, you guys, Exxon Mobil's, the Shells, the BPs, the big companies. You're the explorers. You're what's going to keep the oil and gas
I
companies.
need some of that stuff, yeah, but I think a lot of stuff is just keeping it going, right? Creating additional pressure, re-injections to get more oil out. So you're not seeing a lot of that, those big.
You don't see the big blowouts like you used to in the old days. If you see something now, it's usually during a fracking operation that something leaked or something of that nature. So you've got there's one big oil well firefighting company left in the world, and the rest of them are chasing.
It's more preventative maintenance type thing, right?
Yeah, it's more engineering oriented now.
Gotcha.
What's your future? What are you going to do? Like, what's your world? I mean, is it ranching? Is it rodeo?
He's gonna hang out. He's gonna hang out at the boot shop.
Hanging out.
Hang out with Wild Bill and Coach.
Yeah.
But I retired in '06, and then my phone kept ringing. So I finally said, okay, I'll start my own company, and I did that. Well, next thing you know, I get a call from one of my old clients that said, hey, will you just come help us for 1 year? And I'm still at that company 10 years later. So it's a great company I work for,
but I would say never retire. And that's my thing.
No, don't.
The issue is I see all these guys where I'm surrounded by. I was the youngest one in the oil field work, for a long time, and among other things. But these guys, it's just so hardcore, and you stop, and you just
when you start dying.
Start dying.
No, my dad was in education for 44 years, and as soon as he stopped, it went down here real quick.
Yeah, you just got to keep going.
You got to keep your mind, right?
I'll say this, and knowing Todd as well as I do, I never see him stop moving. Whether, I mean, he'll let me know, hey, I'm at the ranch. And, I mean, he's always so hospitable. Coach, guys, boot shop guys. I mean, we'd love to have a Republic, boot shop. Our people come up there and
absolutely
hang out at the ranch. But he's
he's invited us many times.
He likes to sleep in the deer blind. He sleeps in the deer blind.
The deer blind is like a double wide trailer. So how many windows does it have? Facing how many feeders?
I don't know a lot.
No, feeder here, feeder.
It's not as good as Biggio's, but it's pretty good.
Well, I've never been in Biggio's, but I've been in yours, and it's bigger than most apartments. So his deer blind. So
have a good time.
But no, my point is that I think that one of the best compliments that we could give Todd Regalado is he's never met a stranger. Yeah. I mean, he'll talk to anybody. Just a genuinely wonderful, wonderful man. And thank you for being such a great friend of mine, but also a friend of the boot shop of Republic Boot Company. You're a treasure, man.
Being here today, listening to the other podcast was great. I mean, we had Federal, we had the historian. I mean, you learn so many things here. But one thing that you hit on earlier today, Chris, was you have to enjoy what you're doing, and that is so important. If you don't get up every morning and want to go to work, you're in the wrong job.
That's right.
And for these kids that are growing up today, pick something that you love to do.
That's right.
You got to do it.
You shouldn't be stuck in some corporate world or whatever. We're a big proponent of crafts. Craft jobs, meaning that electricians or whatever.
Yes.
Or like our good buddy that's going to come up here, Hugh Patton, here in a second. He's a dentist, but he's also a painter and doing entrepreneurial things. So do things that you love is the point of it. Live your life, even if it's like I can retire and just sit there, really, or live your life to the fullest. So
and give back to the community. My wife and I were big into charity, and you have to give back. Of course, Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo is our big charity. Right. We've got another one that's called Hope Hits Harder that helps families and children that have cancer. And you have to make sure that you give back to the community.
That's
it. Yeah. We can look at this right here. So
talk about that.
I did speak earlier about.
Sorry for my outburst earlier. I was trying to get attention to bring
to the box.
Sorry.
So I spoke earlier about.
Can't
Todd,
see it on the audio version,
Todd,
but you can.
Yeah, about Todd starting. So Todd, several years ago, started a buyers group at the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo, where we raise money for youth and education. And Todd has grown this buyers group into a champion buyers group, and I'm going to let him.
What does that mean?
Yeah, I'm gonna let Todd explain a little bit about what it means to be a champions buyers group, and the just kind of the growth of our group. That Republic Boot Company, we're planning on being a part of as
in
well.
our small way.
Yeah, in our small way.
What Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo does for the city of Houston is just phenomenal. You know, we raise close to $250 million in economic impact every year. And everything we do, you know, we've given out over $600 million worth of scholarships since 1932. So, you know, what we do is very, very important. And so what the Trifecta Buyers Group was all started, you'll love this, Bill. Back in my single days, after barbecue cook-off with the not so good head the next day, you know, waking up under the Ferris wheel, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I would go to the
literally. If you've seen the big Ferris wheel, the big Ferris wheel,
Hey.
that's it. Under it.
So you get up the next day and you go to the committeeman's room and you kind of say, oh, here we go again. I got 20 days of this. So I would order a Crown of Water, a Branding Milk Punch, and a Coors Light. And I would drink one of each, and whatever one I wanted at the end of the day, that's the way I would go for the night. Well, it morphed over the years, and now the R3, my branch brand, is now called the Trifecta Buyers Group, and it's turned into a race. It's turned into a race now. We've got first place, second place, third place winners, and they got to buy pins, and all the money that we raise, it goes right to our buyers group. So we've elevated ourselves from buying a pin of chickens all the way to we're lot 15 now in the buyers group. We're not the grand champion or the reserve grand champion, but we're moving that way. And Chris, you joining this year, it's going to be phenomenal. I think it's going to be a good time. So basically, when you can get there from being way in the top in the auction arena, now we've got so many people down below. And what I would love to see is anybody that's ever been associated or bought a pair of boots at Republic, every year we're going to start in 2024. We'll start with our picture. Our whole group will be anybody who's bought boots, and as years go on, every year the picture will get bigger and bigger and bigger.
Huge family reunion.
And
I love that.
And having a historic boot company
Absolutely.
like you guys,
that's
part of our group, we just love it. I'm over the moon.
kind of like what Matt Bryce was like from Federal was talking about it. This little humble thing that we can do from a boot company to contribute and raise money for people in need or for scholarships and all these great things. Working with great people like yourselves. This is what we really. That's why we're here, man. It's like you can work at a big box, corporate organization or whatever,
Which is fine.
It's just different. Like we love this because we can do something real and create massive impact.
We have more of an avenue to give back to the community as a small business, a local small business. And again, not to knock big box stores; those are our friends.
Right.
There are these groups are our friends. But as a small business, giving back to the community becomes very important to us as members of the community, of this community, to give back to the community. And the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo is such a huge part of how we can give back, especially to kids. I mean, because if we can help kids get to school, if we can help kids that otherwise couldn't afford to go off to college, but in some way we can be a part of that. I think it's
You're doing something.
it's our obligation.
Yeah, it's our obligation.
Every time I've come in here, it's just like family. I love it. That's why I love to come in here. It's phenomenal. When we had the Final Four here in Houston last year,
wow, yep. Yeah.
San Diego State,
Oh yeah.
we weren't even supposed to be there, and we made it to the championship game. I thank you so much for opening your doors to the Sons of Montezuma.
Right?
I mean,
Shout out to the Sons of Montezuma's podcast.
Amazing.
That was an amazing day.
We still have the signed
leather,
cow hat.
We've got the signed leather.
The whole
We've got
side,
those.
yes.
Matty, he still talks about it. He goes, we were at the historic Republic Boot Company, and you had the worst hangover of your life, Todd. He said it was great.
Todd was hanging out over
In the
there
hangover
fitting
chair.
in the hangover chair.
Yeah. The hangover chair.
Yeah,
No,
but
It was
Mickey Gilly sat in that chair. It's not the hangover chair. Come on.
that day. It was the hangover.
That day it was a hangover chair. So typically we always do the boot of the week, right? So,
Well,
but today's a little bit different.
Yeah, but no, I say real quick. Go ahead. You're headed to this. Let's talk about this real quick.
Yeah.
Is that we do have? We want you to come stop by the shop, or if you're not here, where else can they donate for this? What can we do?
Good point.
Let's take some donations. Let's talk about it.
when
Sorry,
we-
I didn't mean to interrupt.
No,
when we talked about doing this here, because you guys have a great place for people to come when they're experiencing a boot fitting extravaganza, you've made this for us You're filling it up. I mean,
Yeah.
I can't ask for any more than that.
We-
My
we-
gosh.
Well, we don't. When people come in and get adjustments to their boots, maybe an extra hole punched in their belt, they want to give us tips. Well, we don't take tips. That's not our. That's just not who we are. We do that because we take care of our customers, and that's part of the experience.
And I'm pouring fireballs behind the bar,
Yes.
and they keep wanting to give me
Yes.
money and tips, and
Yeah.
my wife says take it, and I'm like, well, now we know where to take
So
it.
instead,
Yeah.
It's going
so
right here.
instead of
It's going
tips,
right-
we're
yeah.
going to donate back to. So as Fireball was saying, we're going to donate back to the community. So anybody that would like to come in and help us donate back to the community, every cent that goes in this box right here is going to go towards the Trifecta Buyers
Matched by us.
matched
Oh,
matched by
Matched by
Republic.
us. Yeah.
Thank you so
Well,
much.
Going back to you.
that's hey, heard it here first.
Matched by us.
Matched by Republic Boot Company, and we are going to join forces with the Trifecta Buyers Group and again take over the world.
Absolutely. Thank you
So
very
great
much.
point,
Chris.
great point, Fireball, about
Yeah.
explaining what this is for. So when you stop by the boot shop, this will be either at the bar or at the front. Feel free. I mean, no obligation, but feel free.
And again, you guys can't see this as the next little thing we're doing on our audio version, but if you got to go to YouTube, but this is unique. So we're going to show you the boot of the week, and it's actually coming from Todd Regalado.
Oh,
Todd
good.
Regalado is
Oh, Lord. Oh, Lord.
Regalado's
He's a
mount
parent
up.
boot of the week.
Mount up.
Go ahead and take it off, Todd.
Where's the boot jack? Where is the boot jack?
You did it without a boot jack,
Put
which
it
you
right here in
shouldn't
the
do. You
front.
should always have a
So
boot
those
jack.
of you who are watching, that's not how. That's a demonstration of how not
Don't do
to take
Yes, don't do it that way. But
Buy a boot jack.
let me tell you something. If you've never had a pair of custom boots, you deserve one. You owe it to yourself. That boot right there is like wearing a slipper. I mean, it's phenomenal. It's absolutely phenomenal. You know what Hey Dudes are?
Oh yeah, yeah.
They're just as comfortable as my Hey Dudes.
Really? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, that's cool.
So,
No,
so,
it's-
so,
so my-
Chris, you want to go over?
So my
a little
daughter
bit about
bought
what-
me a pair of Hey Dudes, and I was like, I don't know, but my daughter bought them. They're comfortable, but my boots are more comfortable than
Hey,
that.
dude, you hear that?
Hey, dude, did you hear that? Yeah, so we have a cognac. This is a bias cut. So we do a lot of boost on the bias, meaning that the larger scale of the boot of the alligator is on the inside. So when you actually bend your foot, you're having that crease against the flank. The flank of the alligator is the part that moves. Alligators move side to side, right? So it actually it won't crack on you. If you have a straight up alligator, if it's a bigger alligator and you have it across the top, you might crack the top of the boot. So it's a more comfortable way to wear a large scale alligator. So that's what we did with Todd's boots here, and of course the R3 inside the Texas has an inlay with the black calf tops. So it's a beautiful boot overall. It's got some real classic appeal here.
classic boot.
It's
And
awesome.
most
They're
important,
awesome.
It's comfortable.
Oh,
There you go.
I mean, I
That's
love
the
it.
most important.
Comfortable.
It's
I
no.
said it.
You said
Did I say it wrong?
you said
I
comfortable.
said it again.
By the way, if you're in
It comes
Texas,
out. It-
it's called comfortable. I know we get into
this
this.
has been a 9-year battle.
It's a 9-year battle. I said, don't say comfortable. That's your Yankee if you say
Comfortable.
that. He's from Dallas a little bit, so that's why anything north of
north.
Anything
I
north
know.
of I-10.
no,
I know.
Anything
So
north
we're gonna
of
say-
Yankees. Anything north of I-10.
You know, when we go to rodeo now,
Hey,
we
you.
put our boots on, and what do we do? As soon as we get home, we take them off. These, I can wear them all day long.
Let's say
awesome.
All
Hear that.
day long.
Hear that. You have to have the veg channel leathers in there to have your foot just kind of conform to that. You have your arch supported and all those great things. Anyways, guys, thank you so much, Todd. This
Hey.
has been a great conversation. Really appreciate
Lefty
it.
out of the bullpen.
Yeah,
That's
coming
it.
out of the bullpen.
That
making it-
literally was that.
That was fantastic,
Chris,
man.
Do we have a second
That's the
left?
closer. That's the closer.
Okay.
Closing it.
Well, here's what we're gonna do at the very end.
Oh,
Uh-oh.
So, actually, Conradical has his own little whiskey here.
from Conradistan.
So from Conradistan. So we're gonna actually do a little quick pour.
So
Uh-oh.
I learned this technique of cleaning whiskey from my good buddy Ricky Ford with Persedo, right? How to take the congeners and stuff off of the
actually said it
ethanol
right.
ethanol molecules, and
No, it's my
and,
jeans.
and to make sure that you don't have the harsh fossil fuels and different chemicals. You can change the ester profiles and stuff like that. So this is a way to kind of do that we've kind of perfected. So only available at the boot shop. You can come try this. It's got the sweetness of the American white oak, but doesn't have the burn, right? So this is what we're doing.
Do we need to do a toast?
Cheers, gentlemen.
Would
Go
you
ahead.
like?
Go ahead.
Hey,
Can you?
Let's talk about it.
the floor is yours, sir.
Is
You
thi-
have one?
I've got one, but is this
Do it.
R-rated or does that make a difference?
No, this is
The floor is
no,
yours,
no,
sir.
This is all good.
This is it.
We're R-rated.
She's a great big bitch, about twice the size of me. Got hair on her ass like branches on a tree. She can swim, fish, fight, fuck, shovel shit, and drive a truck. That's the kind of girl I want to marry.
Amen. God bless Texas.
Holy shit, it's awesome.